Hello, welcome to our World War II lecture. I want to encourage you to pause each slide so you can take the notes on it. We have a special guest speaker that is going to join us through a link in our class today. So I'm going to go quickly on these notes so that we have time to hear the wonderful details that the guest speaker has to tell us about her father. Without a worldwide depression, you don't have World War II, arguably. So many countries were impoverished by the Great Depression that happened in America because America was a trading partner and had backed and loaned money to a lot of the countries that have been hurt by World War I. So when the American economy collapses with the Great Depression, I'm sure you're historically aware of that happening, what you might not know yet is that a lot of other countries, their hopes were pinned on the success of America as well. And you can see the list on the left there of how those things progressed. You'll learn more about the Great Depression in U.S. history as well. Perhaps something interesting to note in world history is that Japan also has a famine right around the time that the U.S. has a famine. And you know they're both aggressors in World War II. Out of mutual suffering comes aggression, sadly. And the rise of fascism rises out of suffering. So it has some of the characteristics of Maine that are going to cause a war: militant, militarism, nationalism. This is Benito Mussolini. He's one of the first fascists to rise in power in Europe. So how does that happen in Italy? Well, Italy did not like how the Versailles Treaty turned out. Like most of Europe didn't seem to like it that much. Seems like just France got their way, but a lot of other countries very unhappy. Unemployment skyrockets in Italy like in Germany, and their money becomes worthless. And from this recipe, a lot of times you get a leader who is perhaps brutal but powerful. And Benito Mussolini Il Duce is that aggressive leader. He takes Ethiopia. Very sad that Ethiopia is bullied by him and taken over. The leader of Ethiopia at the time is a Christian who comes and talks to the League of Nations and says, first they came for Ethiopia and next they will come for you. He asks for help and the world does not help. And I know that you know this sad face, but here is our Benito Mussolini Il Duce. And I'm doing that locked knee goose step march there because that's cool. So hater rises. I'm talking about Hitler, but I don't think he deserves his name in what he did to people. I know that God can forgive anybody, but I don't think history should give him any attention. There is a Great Depression in Germany, and America stops its loans. Germans are looking for firm leadership. Not everybody likes Hitler, I want to mention, but his party does rise to power due to the desperation. They really speak to the desperate and starving people who want to go back to work. I will note that he does lower unemployment once he's in work. He puts people back to work. He's named chancellor in 33. His philosophy is pretty pathetic. I think he really needed good counseling and a quiet life where he could do art as opposed to taking his grief to the masses and his prejudices and his racism, which are all terrible. He believed that certain people were superior to others. He followed Nietzsche's philosophy, essentially that might makes right and that power is better than love. Not good stuff. He really plays these theories out. He takes total control. He's given an inch, he takes a mile repeatedly, and he's extremely against God's chosen people, the Jewish people. Even though I will say they were only 1% of the population in Germany, but he takes his aggression out on them in other countries as well. So he invades the Rhineland and he invades the Sudetenland, which he felt were German historical places, but he had promised in the Treaty of Versailles not to do that. So they meet with him to try to talk about, why are you breaking